Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is episode 144 of my brand new Comics Haul series where I show you guys all the new books that I pick up at my LCS every week. Pretty big week. We've got a couple really big releases from Marvel, the first of which I'll be getting to. I've heard it's a bestseller, so let's just get right into it here with Ultimate Spider-Man #1. This is the first actual launch of an ongoing series in the Ultimate Universe, which is already a relaunch of the previous Ultimate Universe, but it's seemingly pretty completely disconnected. We had that Ultimate Invasion miniseries that kind of led us to where we are now, and that Ultimate Universe one-shot that came out a couple months back, but it's not connected to the Ultimate Universe that we knew before Secret Wars in any way. It's basically this new constructed reality that the maker, who's the Reed Richards of that last Ultimate Universe, was able to complete in his image, right? So he's been going through history and altering events, and in the Ultimate Invasion series, we saw that he went back in time and made sure that Peter Parker was never bitten by the radioactive spider. So in this new Ultimate Universe, he somehow becomes Spider-Man as a middle-aged man that already has kids and everything with Mary Jane. That's really all I know going into this. Marvel's been talking a lot about this being the most shocking Spider-Man story they've ever told, or the most daring, takes the most risks or whatever. So we'll see how realistic that actually is. I think they're definitely good at hyping up series like that, even if it doesn't always live up to the expectations. But I've heard really good things about this one so far. Jonathan Hickman, who's the guy that introduced this whole new universe, is also the one writing this ongoing. And hopefully it's not too complicated. That's really my only complaint about Jonathan Hickman stuff. I think he's great with world building. Obviously he did House of X and Powers of 10, and that was a huge deal for a few years. But with his new series like Gods and stuff, I just feel that there's way too much going on, and he doesn't do a good job just giving us straight up explanations. You have to really think about everything that's going on, and it just takes a really long time to get acquainted with the characters and stuff. So I assume with pre-existing characters like this and in a kind of familiar universe, it'll be a lot easier to get into. Looking forward to it. Hopefully it'll end up being as legendary as the original Ultimate Spider-Man was, and we'll see about that one. I'm probably going to do a review if I have time, so look out for that. Next up, another big release from Marvel. We've got Rise of the Powers of 10, #1. This is the companion 5-issue miniseries to Fall of the House of X. I've heard they're going to be a little bit less interconnected than the original House of X and Powers of 10 were, though. Now that we've got different writers and creative teams and everything since Hickman left the X-Men, since he left the Krakoan era, it makes sense that it'd be less interconnected. But we've got Nimrod and all those characters, Orcus, everything with Moira McTaggart and Mr. Sinister that Jonathan Hickman originally was bringing up in his series. We've got Mystique and Destiny involved in here. And it's the same artist who did the original Powers of 10, right? So it's R.B. Silva back here. The art does look a little bit different, though. I don't think it's the same colorist. So a lot has changed, I guess, since 5 years ago or whenever it was that the Krakoan era started. We've got Kieran Gillen writing this one. Hopefully I'll understand everything. I know that there's been a lot going on in Kieran Gillen's whole side of the Krakoan era with, Sins of Sinister and his Immortal X-Men run and stuff. And I was away from X-Men for a couple years. That was kind of the era that I skipped before I got back into everything with Fall of X. So I'm just hoping that I'll be able to understand everything going on in here, but the artwork looks really cool. This is kind of the future of X-Men, right? Compared to Fall of the House of X just being how it all ends. That's more of an event comic compared to whatever kind of futuristic thing is going to be happening in here. So I'm looking forward to that one. Next up from Marvel Comics is another kind of big release. I want to vent about this one a little bit, though. It's Giant Size Spider-Man #1. They're doing this series of one-shots for the 50th anniversary of the Giant Size one-shots that Marvel used to do. Giant Size X-Men #1 was one of them. So they've got some pretty historic stuff. They're marketing these as a big deal because big things are going to be happening in the issues for the characters involved. And Cody Ziegler is writing this. It's Miles Morales Spider-Man. He's supposed to be teaming up with Venom in this story, and I just thought that was cool, so I picked it up. Not knowing what I was getting myself into, I was counting the page number on this one. You just get 20 pages of regular content, so that already kind of makes the name Giant Size kind of pointless. If you're just getting a regular size comic, what's the point? But it also reprints some random issue of Miles from the past, I think back when he was in the Ultimate Universe. That's fine, I don't really mind that, but this costs $7. So a comic should cost $4 these days. Marvel charges $5 for most of their new series. Even if they were to charge $5, I would only expect maybe an extra dollar for that random 20-page story that no one asked for in the back. It just feels ridiculous to charge like basically another $3 or whatever for a reprinted story. I don't think like the price of paper or whatever is actually that well valued in the comics industry compared to like actually having to pay their creators for a new story. So even if this is good, I feel like it's just not going to be worth the money no matter what. But I'm a big fan of the regular Miles ongoing. There's an issue that came out this week that I'll get to in a second. But I would say steer clear of this if you haven't already picked it up because it's definitely not worth the money. Next up, though, we've got the Miles issue I was talking about, Miles number 15. Still charge $4 for this book, so this is the better deal, obviously. But we've got the main artist on here with, obviously, Cody Ziegler on writing duties, but Federico Vicentini is doing the art in here. It's pretty good. I'm liking it. There's definitely a lot going on because it's a gang war. It's tying into that event, so there's a lot of villains involved. You can see we have Rabble and Hobgoblin in here, so Rabble making some kind of return. I know that she's supposed to play a big part in Miles, his 300th issue. I think it's number 18 in the current series numbering. Is supposed to be coming out soon. Prowler is involved, so a lot of older characters in Miles are making their return here. I know we've got a crossover with Ms. Marvel because she was at the end of the last issue as a member of the X-Men now, her new status quo. And I'm looking forward to the future of the series. It seems like Cody Ziegler really gets Miles' voice really well, writes him how he should be, and it's a fun comic. I'm liking it. So yeah, that's Miles number 15. Next up, though, the last issue I picked up from Marvel this week was Avengers. This is number 9. We've got guest art on this issue. My only complaint, really, I'd say, with this series so far, art-wise, is just that the main artist hasn't been doing that much of the issues. I think he did like the first 4, and then there's some guest art. He's done a couple since then, but now like in the middle of his Twilight Court like story arc that we've got going on right now, he's already needing some guest art. It looks good enough in here though, similar enough to the style. So far, this new arc has had to do with this Twilight Court, which is like a supervillain team that kind of mirrors the Avengers. A lot of their characters are similar with the new roster and everything. And I guess they first appeared in that Timeless one-shot that came out last year, which Jed MacKay also wrote, that kind of led into his Avengers run, where they took down Kang and like injured him. They're looking for some kind of missing moment, if I'm remembering right, which he hasn't really circled back to, but there's like some kind of missing moment in the timeline that holds power somehow. And I like that idea when it came up in Timeless, but they have not circled back to it as of yet, so hopefully we'll be getting to that eventually in this run. It seems like Jed MacKay has really long-term plans for this. I love all of his solo comics with Doctor Strange and Moon Knight, and he's also been doing pretty good with the team comic, so I'll keep with this one. That's Avengers number 9. Next up, though, the last issue I got this week was from Image Comics. We got Transformers number 4, one of the most hyped up books of 2023 for sure, and it's keeping strong in the new year. I'm not sure how long Daniel Warren Johnson is going to last on here, though. That's my biggest question about this series. Hopefully he'll just like take breaks in between arcs or something if he needs to, so that he can continue to write and draw every single issue. But yeah, someone writing and drawing a series ongoing is pretty intense, especially for the modern comics industry. Usually even just artists that are drawing one series still need like a few months break in between story arcs. This is pretty solid so far. I'm not a huge Transformers fan, like I've said every time an issue of this comes up, so I feel like I'm missing a lot of references to characters and stuff, or like I should be more familiar with these characters, because you just get thrown like right into all of the action and everything. You don't have much time to get to know any of the Transformers in any way besides like Optimus Prime, so I still don't like have any of these names memorized or anything. I can't differentiate them from each other, which makes it a little bit hard to care about the Transformers, but the human side of things is, I think, really where Daniel Warren Johnson shines, because he's really good at writing that kind of stuff. Do a Powerbomb was one of my favorite series about wrestling that he did last year. So I'm just hoping he leans more into that. It really seems so far like it's only going to be about the Autobots and Decepticons and kind of like their impact on humans, but not so much on the actual human characters. So we'll see about this one ongoing, but I'm still enjoying it, even though I don't know too much about the franchise. Those were the issues I picked up for this new comic book day, though. I want to know what you guys got, though. Let me know down in the comment section below. If you're looking forward to Ultimate Spider-Man, make sure to look out for my review of that one. And I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.